No one other than the staff and the patients knew about the violence that was happening in the asylum. Hey guys, it's Jana. I'm back today with another video, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most haunted asylums in the entire world. We are going to be talking about the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. This asylum was known to be one of the most haunted, and to this day is known to be the most haunted asylum. Trans-Allegheny was a psychiatric hospital that operated from 1864 to 1994. This psychiatric hospital is located in West Virginia, and it is humongous. This place is quite literally a citadel that stretches over 666 acres of land, which a lot of people think plays a part into this place being cursed, because we all know the number 666 is a demonic number. This hospital was originally built in a way so that a lot of sunlight could enter inside of it, so that the patients inside could feel more comfortable and more positive, because this, after all, was a psychiatric hospital, so they wanted to make sure that all the patients in there felt good and comfortable, which is actually really nice. But unfortunately, that did not last long. The main building that was opened in 1864 was made only to fit 250 patients. 250 was their absolute maximum capacity, and they could not take any more. However, 14 years after that, the number went up to 717 patients, which is a lot over the maximum capacity. They were not stopping there, and for some reason, as the years went on, it reached 1,661 patients inside of this asylum. Think about it, only 250 patients were meant to be able to go inside of this asylum. It was not built for more patients. And then somehow, as the years went on, they kept taking on more patients. That is absolutely insane. And what's even more insane is that by the 1950s, this asylum reached 2,400 patients. That is 10 times over what the asylum was built to take on. That was way too many people. Because there were way too many people in this asylum that was just not built to handle them, people didn't have places to sleep. Patients were sleeping on the floors. They didn't even have beds. They didn't have access to proper bathrooms. They didn't even have heating in the winter, which means they would be frozen through all the winter, with some of them not even getting blankets because it was just so full of people. Eventually, a journalist leaked all this information to the public, and word spread about the asylum being not a really habitable place for patients, and it did kind of ruin the reputation of the asylum. Once word got out, and once it started getting so clustered, things started going downhill. And I think it's at this point that we start to realize why this place might be haunted to this day. One of the things that was a problem right from the get-go, right when this place opened, was violence. No one other than the staff and the patients knew about the violence that was happening in the asylum. It was a secret kept by the people inside the asylum, but the truth was that on numerous occasions, patients would attack each other, they would attack staff, and it would get really violent sometimes. Unfortunately, it did end up in a lot of deaths as well, and certain patients were so uncontrollable that instead of getting treatment that they needed, the staff would lock them into cages. I just cannot imagine the trauma of these patients who were there hoping to get some sort of help, but instead would get locked up in a cage. It's absolutely disgusting. However, some patients were a huge threat to the safety of others. There's actually a particular story about a nurse who went missing inside of the asylum, and many people thought that she might have just disappeared or left without telling anyone, but they were really worried because there was absolutely no trace of her. No one knew where she went. Police actually ended up getting involved, and they searched the entire asylum for her but could not find her until months later they found her body at the bottom of a stairwell in the asylum that was never used by anyone. And people believe that what happened to her, or what is most likely to have happened to her, was that she was attacked by one of the patients and left there. The walls of the asylum started cracking, wallpaper was peeling, there was no heating, there was no space for anyone, and ultimately it was shut down in 1994. The building still operates as a museum, so you can go in there and take a tour and look at everything, talk about the history, but it is definitely not a good good place for patients to actually get treatment. Now, because of all this crazy history, obviously there's bound to be hauntings, and the staff that works in the building right now currently reports hauntings so frequently it's actually insane. Many of the staff that work there say that they hear screams in the hallways, they hear doors getting slammed, they see doors slamming right in front of them, and they often hear children running around. It's really a very active place. A woman by the name of Rebecca Jordan, who is currently an operations manager at this asylum, says that she believes 7 to 8 residents still are inside the asylum. She believes that after they passed away, they decided to stick around, and although they are ghosts, and although some people don't believe that there are spirits, she very much considers them still patients of the asylum. One of the better known spirits that haunts the asylum goes by the name of Lily. Lily was a patient during the Civil War era who unfortunately died of pneumonia at 9 years old, but witnesses say that when they go inside of her playroom, they hear her laughing or sometimes even crying. She is known to be very sweet, very friendly, and is known to steal candy from the guests. So if you ever go there to take a tour and you bring candy, she might just steal some of your candy. I think that's so adorable. Many witnesses also mentioned seeing a ghost going around asking people if they've seen his beer or if they've stolen his beer from him. This actually connects to the original asylum records because there was a man who was a patient in this asylum, and on his record it was written that he would often go around asking people if they've seen a beer or if they've stolen his beer. So there is proof that there was once a man who lived there who did this, and now his ghost is still there. Another spirit that haunts this place is called Ruth, and Ruth is a woman who absolutely hates men. People say that many men who walk into this place get pushed or shoved or have their hair pulled by Ruth. For some reason, this woman never liked men, and when they walk into this now museum, she gets very mad. Another spirit that haunts the asylum goes by the name of Dean, and I would say he is probably the most known spirit in this entire place, and that's because his story is really sad. Dean was actually attacked by 2 fellow patients that he shared a room with in the asylum, and as a result of that attack, they took his life. Despite his tragic ending, Dean is actually known to be a really peaceful spirit, very friendly, loves when people come. It's actually really comforting to know that despite this place having a tragic, horrible, dark history, a lot of the spirits that stay there are actually extremely kind and peaceful and loving, and actually welcome guests into the asylum. Like I mentioned, this is no longer an asylum, it is only a museum, but you are able to go visit, and it is one of the most haunted asylums in the entire world. Although there are kind spirits within this place, we cannot forget the dark history, and not only that, but the absolute mistreatment of all the patients that went to this asylum. They were not treated like human beings, they were treated like livestock, and it is really upsetting to hear about. I cannot imagine the trauma they experienced in that place. It is so understandable why this place is filled with so much negative energy now. I mean, I would be more surprised if this place was not haunted. The things that happened behind the closed doors of this asylum are horrible and dark, but we can learn a lot from them, and that is why, again, they made it into a museum. You guys let me know if you would ever want to visit. I for sure would. I mean, I'd want to go and see what it's all about. Maybe I would even have an interaction with one of the spirits that we talked about. And if I go, I am 100% bringing candy for Lily, okay? You guys let me know what you think. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.